So do you ever watch a movie and you get completely sucked in, like the vibe, the atmosphere, just the whole feeling of the movie just pulls you right in? You know what I'm talking about? So then you go out and you've got the same setting and you're gonna try and recreate this look that you saw in the movie that just, it really made you feel something. You know, it had that cinematic magic. But you shoot it and you go home and you look back and like something's just off. So you check your camera, you check your settings, you check your lenses, you make sure you have everything dialed, but for some reason, it's just, something isn't working. So here's the thing. Yes, your camera's important, your settings are important, how you shoot it's important, but there's one thing that no one ever really talks about when they talk about trying to make something look really cinematic and beautiful. And that's the feel, or the vibe, or the atmosphere of the content they're creating.
Sure, when you're working on a pro set, you have all the tools at your disposal and you can create that mood and cinematic vibe. But as content creators, we're often working with what we've got and we've got to make it work. So how do you instantly create that film-like atmosphere? Well, the easiest way is with lens filters.
So these filters can totally change the vibe of your entire shot by changing the light, the color, and the texture of your image. So the clips you're seeing right now, all of these were shot with filters from Tiffen. These particular filters have been used in Hollywood filmmaking for decades. And I think the coolest thing about them is that they've even won Academy and Emmy Awards
for the technology that they have created.
Long story short, they know how to take glass and manipulate it so that you can put it on the front of your lens and create those iconic Hollywood vibes that can change the mood and the vibe of your shot almost instantly. And in this video, I'm gonna break it all down. So if you wanna start shaping your own style and vibe in your own content, you'll know how they work. So let's start with light and contrast. Think about how light moves through a really dimly lit bar. It's not harsh, it's not clinical, it's really soft, rich, kind of vibey, and really, really thick with atmosphere. So for this setting, I've got a black Pro Mist 1/8 and I've got the smoke filter 2. Okay, do you see how this next shot just looks really nice and clean? But when I add on the black Pro Mist filter, it just immediately kind of has that feel. By adding this filter on, it creates what's called a narrow halation. So this is just pretty much the glow that you see around the lights. It also has a really pleasing soft look in the details, and it does this without reducing the contrast too much. Okay, so now I want to talk about the smoke filter. So in a scene like this, let's talk about just instant atmosphere change. When I add this filter on, you immediately see how the contrast is reduced from the entire image by spreading light from the highlights to the shadow areas. It creates an immediate haze, and it really gives that smoky, hazy, atmospheric depth and feel. It's quite the contrast from the image without a filter.
Okay, let's talk about film. Do you know how film has that really soft, dreamy-like vibe to it? Like, it's not all sharp and digital. It's kind of got that nostalgic feel to it. That's the magic of texture. And so here's the deal. The black satin and the glimmer glass. Personally, I'm obsessed with the black satin filter. I love this filter. So both filters are gonna add a soft glow to your image, but the black satin in particular, that just really kind of adds a smooth finish to your image, and it drops a lot of that harsh digital contrast.
So usually when you reduce the contrast in an image, you lose a lot of those really rich blacks and the rich tones. But with the black satin filter, you actually keep all of those rich tones while making everything else just look a little bit smoother. And also,
it adds a subtle glow to it without making anything look blurry or out of focus. So it's kind of perfect for the skin. Then you have the glimmer glass filter. This one takes it even further into that soft, dreamy-like effect. The glimmer glass is gonna reduce contrast, and it's gonna take some of the light from the highlights and spread it into the shadows. In the heavier densities, that's when you get more spread from the highlights to the shadows.
This filter just takes all the fine details in your image and smooths them out into this really beautiful and cinematic vibe. All right, now let's talk about golden hour. You know, the beautiful time of day that really doesn't need a lot of extra help, but what if we could take that entire vibe of that beautiful golden hour during the day and push it even further by altering the atmosphere and the color? So this is the black fog and the night fog filter. The black fog filter, it creates a wider halation or glow, and it's also gonna bring down the contrast, but it's not gonna reduce the richness of the blacks. So with the black fog, we're gonna keep the richness of the blacks while still bringing down a lot of that contrast to soften the image overall. So this filter is just gonna help smooth out a lot of the details and create that softer atmospheric glow. Now with the night fog filter, this is just overall gonna create a much moodier and mistier atmosphere. It's got a really wide glow, so the halation, and that's paired with this really unique contrast effect that reduces the bright areas. So in the stronger version of the night fog filter, it's gonna also reduce the saturation of the colors and bring down the bright areas, so it's gonna create a much darker, moodier, low light, vibey feel. So to wrap this all up, Cinematic per se is not necessarily just about the gear. Of course, the settings and the gear play a part, but it's about the vibe. It's about the feel of what you're putting out there. How does someone feel when they watch it? Filters are just a really quick way to create that instant magic or that instant atmosphere or vibe in your footage without having to change too many other things. And with Tiffen's wide variety of diffusion filters, you have so many options that you can find one that could actually become kind of your style. So I've put a link in the description below to Tiffen's website and all of their diffusion filters. If you have any questions, of course, just drop them in the comments below. And if you've tried any of these that you love, drop it down. Let us know what you love about it, because I'm curious to hear if you've tried any and which ones are your favorite. So I hope you learned something in this video, and I will see you in the next one.